Hey everybody, going to do an update on my Snakeskin Gourami here, but thought I'd take a moment to get a look at my Synodontis. He does this fairly often, hangs out near the surface when I put flake food in the tank, which I don't always do, but when I do put flake food in the tank, he swims around upside down, as you know, Synodontis are known as upside down catfish. And he actually swims around upside down at the surface, munching on the floating flakes. He basically treats the surface as though it was the bottom. He just, inverts the world, basically, and swims around at the surface, munching the floating flake food. It's pretty interesting to watch, but that's not the point of this video. The point of this video is to do an update here on my Gourami tank. And yes, he has gone tail up again. So what that tells me is whatever internal mechanism he has to control the air in his bladder is not working. So I don't know much about fish anatomy and physiology. I don't really understand how a swim bladder works. I haven't bothered to really look into it or do any research, but presumably it is something that the animal can regulate. They can inflate or deflate as necessary, much the way a submarine will draw water in or pump water out to give it the desired level of buoyancy. So I'm guessing there's some, muscular mechanism that either compresses or allows the air to expand or something to that effect. There also has to be a mechanism within the body to get the air into the bladder. It has to basically take dissolved gases out of the fish's blood, or possibly you just saw some bubbles rise there. I know in this case it's an anabantoid, so it actually gulps air from the surface, but not all fish are capable of gulping air from the surface. And as far as I understand, as far as I know, all fish have to have swim bladders. If they didn't, they'd just sink to the bottom. It's what they do. It's how they regulate where they float in the water column, and it's how they regulate their buoyancy. So whatever mechanism is allowing the air to go, into the bladder, however these dissolved gases are turning back into their gaseous form, in the bladder, that mechanism must still be happening, possibly even in a runaway out of control sense, and that's why the bladder keeps inflating. And the fish doesn't have the capacity any longer to reduce the amount of air that's in there. So what happened before was the fish went tail up, but didn't look unusual. And then after 3 or 4 days of floating around tail up, we noticed that the bladder started getting swollen and it was getting bigger and bigger. So it's continuing to fill with air, and the fish is unable to do anything to release the air. So the same thing happened with my female when she died. So I'm not sure what to do at this point. If this is going to continue happening, maybe is that why the female died? Was the bladder just continuing to inflate and inflate and inflate and, causing that internal pressure on other organs and, all the complications that would ensue from that? I'm not sure. I obviously have no idea why the animal is not able to control the swim bladder anymore. Again, it was suggested that injury is what caused it. If that's the case, perhaps the injury was permanent. And when I released the gases from the swim bladder, I probably allowed the fish some temporary relief, but it's just inflated again. So now my options are, do I wait and see what happens? Do I euthanize the fish? I'm certainly not going to start, stabbing the fish every few days to let the gas out every time it swells up. That's just not something I'm willing to do. If that were going to become necessary, I think I would just go ahead and euthanize the fish rather than put it through the stress of, effectively catheterizing it, if you will, every few days to let the gases out. So that's not really an option for me. I suppose allowing it a few more days just to see if it doesn't work its own issues out is going to be the direction I'm going to go for now. But I guess here within the next couple of days, if we don't start seeing some improvement, and I'm honestly not expecting to, I guess if we don't start seeing some improvements, then we're going to have to go ahead and get in there and euthanize the snakeskin, which is unfortunate. I really like that fish. It's one of the ones I've had for quite a long time now. I've watched it grow up from a tiny little thing. So it is what it is. The snakeskin, I've definitely had it for the duration of what its normal lifespan should be, although I don't in any way think that what's going on now is a result of old age or it coming to the end of its lifespan. But nonetheless, I have had the thing for, nearly 5 years now, and 4 to 6 years is what their lifespan is said to be. So he's had a good run. Whatever happened, and we're just going to, continue playing it by ear, but I don't think the prognosis is very good, and I don't have my hopes up. So, sorry for the bummer update, but it is what it is, and we'll see where we go from here. So make sure you're subscribed, that way you won't miss any of the updates I got coming up on this or any of my other tanks. And don't forget, this one is my 125 gallon tank. So thanks again for watching. See you real soon in the next one.